Well, a win's a win, right? They don't ask how. They ask how many. All that kind of stuff. I don't know. Trying to determine what to take away from these games is becoming interesting. Because I think that a lot of people in the chat, a lot of people watching, listening, to those of you who find the podcast back after, all kind of have a very similar approach and takeaway right now. I think the general consensus is that this team is not good enough. I looked at this game and I look at the team overall and doing the previews and knowing going into the games just kind of what the analysis should be of each game night in and night out, just knowing there's an element of a change of what you expect from the group and what they should be. So how do you approach it? Process over, whatever. It's kind of an ugly game. And I'm happy that they won. A win is a win. But I'm just taking this game by game at this point. Like, I'm going to take every single game one at a time for like the next month and figure out where we get to at the end of the month by like the new year. Because, you know, as it was tweeted out here during the game today, and it was a lot made on social media about what they were talking about during the broadcast, the difference by November 26th every single year about last place to like a playoff spot and last place to first place, and you know where this team is currently at this season and what the difference in this season across the Atlantic and the Eastern Conference in seasons past is just how average and mediocre everyone has kind of been to this point. So it leaves the door open. Right? Like it's a glass half full situation for the Maple Leafs, just given the fact that there is some mediocrity across the Eastern Conference and the Atlantic in particular, which opens the door. Now, again, I don't think they're a good team. I think that they're a team with enough skill to make it to the playoffs, but I don't think that they're a team to do any damage. But they have to play the right way to get to the playoffs. I don't know that this was playing the right way in this overtime win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think that defensively it was better. I think that there was more buy-in. You could see a little bit more bite, a little bit more interest in some of these guys. For the most part, it wasn't still full from a full 60 minutes and from the opening puck drop to the final buzzer of go, go, go. We got to be balls to the wall. We got to bring intensity. We got to bring energy. We got to be in there battling for our goaltenders, for our teammates, for each other, whatever. That just wasn't the case here tonight. I'm not going to pretend that it was. But they showed it a whole lot more than what they did against Montreal the other day. They got handed a lifeline with the offside on the first Werenski goal. They didn't seem to let that get them down too much. They didn't allow the penalties to get out of control, two of which I thought were just kind of some bogus calls early in the first period, especially the Ekman-Larsson one. I thought was just bullshit in the first place. He gets a guy coming at him and Charlie Coyle, and then as the next guy comes in for Columbus, I think it was Miles Wood at that point, he stands up for himself, and he's going to the box as the only guy. And then Dakota Mermis and Zach Aston-Reese shortly after are in a pushing battle in front of the net, and Dakota Mermis walks away with the only one when Zach Aston-Reese is standing over top of him, hitting him while he's on the ice. I don't know how in the fuck you walk away from both of those instances with the Leafs being the only team to get a penalty coming out of that. in terms of advantage going to Columbus in both situations. I thought it was pretty ridiculous to have those back-to-back in the on top of all of that. You opened it with bad penalty, then you follow it up with bad penalty, but they were just so close in general. I thought that was pretty pathetic. I could not believe that that was the case, but the Leafs didn't let that get them down. And again, not world-beating hockey here. It's not like watching that was the most inspiring of all time, you know? Like, I can't imagine my buddies right now who are going to play men's league tonight are sitting around being like, I can't wait to get out there and razzle-dazzle and go balls to the wall because of what I just saw on the ice from the Maple Leafs. Like, there was an element to that game of, like, get me the fuck out of here. Let's go eat turkey. It's Thanksgiving. But they won. I don't know that there's lots to be happy about this game, as I'm seeing some people suggest in the chat, but a win is a win is a win. A win is a win is a win. And you got away with a win here tonight. And they kept saying it on the broadcast, and I agreed with him. You know, if this is a full-blown wave the towel and bury Joseph Woll here tonight after he puts up the performance that he did, and you walk away with either no points or just 1 point on this one, like even 1 point would have been a failure in this game. You walk away with one of those after Joseph Woll played the way that he did. That's like a full-blown call it quits kind of situation after this. Like, that is where you got to just shut it down and say, hey, we can't do this. We're not going to do this. Like, that is embarrassing to him to play that way, play that lights out. Like, you want to talk about positives here. One of the main positives over the last little while, and one of the only reasons that they've had a chance in some of the last few games, and one of the only reasons that on like Saturday night, it wasn't like 15-0 in that game after the second period, even when Joseph Woll got the mercy pull, was because of Joe Woll. He's come back from injury, and he's taken this thing in stride. You know, we've talked about the fact that getting back to game speed and playing in a game is a much different situation than what it is in practice. No matter what you try to simulate, no matter the scrimmages you go through, no matter, you know, the 5-on-5 replication you try to do, fast breaks, whatever. For a goaltender, it's just not going to be the same because nothing can replicate what it is in a game. And there was an understanding or a belief that Joseph Woll was probably going to take a little bit to get warmed up to get into this season. That's not been the case. He's pretty much hit the ground running since he started here this year. And, you know, you look at some of the games that have been close. You look at ones that have gone to overtime, like the last game against Columbus. You look at this one here tonight. If it's not for Joseph Woll, you are not even getting a singular point in these games. You even look at that opportunity after Easton Cowan scores the go-ahead goal. After Easton Cowan scores the game-tying goal, they pretty much handed an opportunity to Miles Wood on a platter in the slot. And Joseph Woll comes up with two massive, like I'm talking about two massive saves to give them an opportunity to even get to overtime and get the 1 point. Joseph Woll was out of his goddamn mind tonight, and I know producer Vic is just having an absolute time watching this right now because last year he was the one banging the drum. It should have been Joseph Woll. The year before that, when they went in with Samsonov as the lead into the playoffs, and then it ends up being Joseph Woll who comes in relief, he wanted Joseph Woll in then as well. So Joseph Woll has always been his guy, and for him to pick up and start this season the way that he has started it was unreal and has been a savior. So you want to talk about bright spots? That's one. Defensively here tonight, a better effort, still not great, but a better effort for the Leafs. You know, looking at evolving hockey for this one tonight is something I was tracking during the game, and at one point it kind of got out of hand a little bit, but you know, you look at the expected goals for Toronto ends up finishing this one with 3.62, Columbus finishes with 3.64, so even though it's a 2-1 overtime game, like it's not a defensive clinic by any stretch of the imagination. Corsi for the Columbus Blue Jackets was 68. The Leafs was 53. So, you know, yet again, still able to generate chances offensively, still giving some up there to Columbus, but it's just better defensively, which is a positive. but things to work on. Like a lot of things to work on here still coming out of this. So I know that there's people in the chat bringing up positives from tonight. There are positives. There are positives, but I don't know if there's a lot of positives to be able to take away from this one to be like, wow, this is the most beautiful, amazing thing of all time. Regardless, win's a win's a win. And talking about the Eastern Conference, I'm just going to open this up here on the NHL website and see where you're at as of right now. The Maple Leafs with that win jump ahead of the Buffalo Sabres with one more point than the Sabres here right now. They fall behind the Panthers, 2 points back of the Panthers, 2 points back of the Habs, 3 points back of the Rangers, the Blue Jackets, and the Senators. So, as it stands right now, there's not one Canadian team in the Eastern Conference sitting in a playoff spot, and this team has found a way, despite not playing very good hockey here to open this season, to get themselves back within arm's reach of a playoff spot. And at this point, at least, not behind the Buffalo Sabres, which I think can be positives taken from at bare minimum. We are going to take calls here on the show tonight, so I'll send the link in the chat in a moment, and I want to hear from everybody after a win like this, and I want to know what you in the chat take away from a win like this and how you feel about these games at this point, because, I know there's people who are just happy to win games and get points, and that's all they care about. But I think the way I'm looking at this right now is trying to decipher and determine whether or not this team is going to be a legit team moving forward. Tonight, I don't really think that gets you any closer to being a legitimate team. It's good that you snapped this shit streak that you've been in, but I don't think that this game screamed anything to me about like getting yourself closer to that end goal. I just don't. That's my personal belief on this game tonight. So I'm going to send the link in the chat here. If anybody wants to call in, you're more than welcome to. I'll pin it in the chat. It is sent in there now. Just a quick note to people as well as we continue on with the show here tonight. Some stuff for you guys to know as we move forward. We've probably got about 50 minutes left on the show here tonight. 55. You never know. It could go a little bit longer. That's the way it seemed to go to start this season here so far. But you want to get me to do smelling salts here on the show, the way to do so is like the stream. Every set of 50 likes, 50, 100, 150, 200, whatever you guys do, I will do the smelling salts. So make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube, whether it's the Leafs Morning Take Boys with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill going live Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time to break down everything happening with the Toronto Maple Leafs, news, updates, trade rumors, all of it, as well as talking about the games from the night before and the games coming up. They are doing it here on this channel in the morning, and then right here after every single Leafs game, Leafs Nation After Dark, taking calls, breaking things down with those of you from the chat from Leafs Nation to hear your thoughts and how you guys are feeling about the team on a nightly basis as well as the season goes on as a whole. It's happening here on this channel. The other thing I want to make sure that you guys are reminded of, especially as we get closer and closer to Christmas time here, right here on the channel, we do have a charity partner this season, and that would be our friends over at Sick Kids. You want to get your question, your comment, your thoughts, your concerns, even just a message read on the show, you send in your super chats. I will read and answer every single one of them. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity, the #1 children's hospital in Canada. You get those super chats in. I mean, last year, it's dating back to the day that we started, which I think was like late November through to the end of the season. We raised over $4,000 for Sick Kids Charity, which is unbelievable. Like that goes a long way for those of you who are continuing to donate and who are making yourselves part of the show by sending that money in, whether it is for your own questions or comments, whatever, however it is that you want to express yourself by sending in the super chats. It does go to a great cause. And as we get closer and closer to Christmas, I think it just becomes more and more and more important. But let's get to a couple of the super chats here. I see some people are piling in to give their thoughts on the show, on the game here tonight. So let's start with our first super chat of the night. This super chat comes in from B. Khalid. Hopefully I said that right. Says, what's Prague got to say about his boy Brutal? So one could only assume this was about Max Domi. One can only assume that is about Max Domi. So when I did the preview earlier today, on Daily Faceoff, they had Nic Robertson as the first-line right winger. I agreed with that decision. I liked the decision to have Nic Robertson in there. I think the body of work that he had put together, basically like the 12 games, I would say, leading up to the last two, Montreal, and I think it was Columbus, the one before that. So leading up to those, I thought Nic Robertson was awesome. I thought he was bringing intensity. He was showing this physical side to his game. I thought that he was a guy who night in, night out, you could at least rely upon for the speed, for commitment to forechecking and a physical game and getting pucks in deep and chasing them down, which is something that you can't necessarily say you could rely upon throughout your first line to your fourth line over the last little while. He was one of the guys that you could look at and be like, he is showing up every single night and doing the little things, doing the things he needs to do right now. He was given an opportunity to get into the top six. I thought he looked pretty good in his opportunities with Nylander, with JT. He was moved around a little bit within there, and there was different guys kind of bounced around. He wasn't getting like a full consistent shift with those guys, but even when he was, or even when he was in that top six, I thought he looked good. Like, I thought he was showing, hey, I deserve this opportunity. Then you see in the last two games, Berube takes him out of that line on the first line, and it's Calle Jarnkrok who's got to go and jump into there. Obviously, as the games progress, we saw Jarnkrok come out and Easton Cowan go in, who, in my opinion, was a more worthy recipient of the opportunity to get in the top six than a guy like Nic Robertson. But when you see balance come back to the lineup and you see a situation where, okay, now you can slide Cowan over to the line with Tavares and Nylander. He can play as their left winger. He's a guy who can provide you some energy. He can provide you some life. Like, he's also got a bit of a give a fuck to him. You saw him score that goal tonight. He's got the life. He's going nuts. His face is red. He's screaming, which we'll touch on in a bit, but you could tell that it fired him up. He's got that. He brings that to JT and Nylander, who both can kind of have the glossed over stone face at times, and not necessarily because they're not in there and checked out, but just because they are kind of even keel, nothing bothers us guys. Well, I see Nic Robertson gets the chance to go back up to that first line with Knies, with Matthews, and I thought, okay, here's a good chance for a guy who's been pretty level-headed over the last while. He's going to get to play with some good players here again. Maybe he finds himself getting some opportunities, and then he can also add to the forecheck game. He could complement Knies here. He can be a guy who, when pucks going deep, the two of them can battle for pucks. He can also be a scoring threat. He's a guy who I wouldn't necessarily say that his playmaking is the strongest aspect of his game, but he's got that ability for sure. I see him on the thing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Max Domi then slots into third line left wing alongside Nick Waugh, and I think things balance out. They do line rushes before the game, and immediately it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Now, I did see it pointed out online, and I forget who it was, but I agree with them, and I think it was a good point. It was kind of like a put up or shut up situation with Max Domi, and again, I'm stealing that wordage from whoever it was that posted it. I just can't remember right now, but they posted and said it's put up or shut up for Max Domi. Like, this is kind of your last opportunity. You're going to get a chance here. You're going to go with the top six guys. You've been playing second line center. You're playing with McMahon and Robertson, which is obviously not in the same planet as Matthews and Knies. Okay, yeah, that hurts you. Now you're going to go up on the first line. I thought Max Domi had energy. I thought he had some jump. I thought he had some productive moments and shifts, and I thought that was nice to see. I like the snarl that he plays with. But then who is it other than Max Domi who turns over that puck that leads to the Werenski goal to go up 1-0? And I'm talking about the one that actually counted in the third period. Like, you have found a way, whether it's lucky or not, whatever you want to consider it, to have yourself still tied 0-0 late in the third period, and you give up that goal because he just made a soft play on a bad read on the wall, and then you don't get back in time. It's like this guy takes 1 step forward, 2 steps back every single time and just can't find his way to get back to some consistency. I almost feel like at this time, again, maybe I'm wrong here with this, but I feel like it's almost best for him and best suited for him to go down to the third line, not have to play against such tough matchups, and just find some confidence being hidden a little bit lower down into the lineup. Because right now, I feel like he's doing way too much. You know, you look at the last game against Columbus that they played, he's the one who has the turnover in the overtime. He's the one that leads to the overtime goal where Fantilli beats him back up the ice, gets inside on him, and scores on the rebound. And then it's him here tonight who gives the opportunity up to Columbus that gets down the other way, and Werenski scores, and they take the lead late in the third period. Like, I feel like this guy just needs an opportunity to get hidden and buried in the lineup a little bit. You don't need to take him out, but just putting him third line, left wing, play with the guy who's a little bit more reliable at the center position, like Nic Roy, get himself alongside Bobby McMann and just say, hey, we're here to check and not do anything else. I think that he'll find himself in a much better position. And I feel like, personally, that was a vindicating moment watching Max Domi turn that puck over and have it go the other way for Columbus, where all of a sudden you're sitting there going, holy shit, we're about to lose 8 of our last 9 and fall even further behind in the Eastern Conference, where you're watching them go down the other way on a break, knowing that thing came off of Max Domi's stick. And Prague is sitting here saying, we need to get Max Domi more ice time. We need Max Domi to play in your top 6. And then he's the one to turn that puck over. I mean, I think it was the wrong decision. I think it's great to have Easton Cowan in your top, but it's a guy like Nic Robertson at this point that I'd rather have up there on that first line right wing than it is than Max Domi, because I think he's doing too much and I think he's getting himself in trouble. I think you got to put Nic Robertson in there. You got to force him to play in a position where he can have some jump and try to force him to battle for that first line spot. And then if Max Domi can go down to the third line for a bit, maybe him and Nic Robertson can have some type of internal conversation. But right now, it's just not working with Max Domi up there. I mean, it wasn't bad until the end, I'll be honest, until that turnover. But there was a lot of opportunities where it just felt like he was just forcing some stuff. And now, maybe part of that is Matthews was just not quite up to speed, but there was a few different plays, a few different shifts where you're watching him try to feed passes through to Matthews that maybe don't need to be there. A couple of turnovers that are happening where it's not necessarily coming right off of his stick, but it's just miscommunications, misreads, being in the wrong spot, whatever it may be. I think if you throw Domi down to that third line, stop thinking. Stop thinking, go to the third line, play hard, check, keep it simple, and that's it. And that's it. I mean, I would just try to simplify the game for him, because I think right now him playing on that first line, is kind of burying him a little bit. But yeah, the comment about Prague, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Prague calls in later. Maybe he only calls in when they lose. I'm not really sure, but we'll find out how he felt about Max Domi's appearance on the first line here tonight. You know, I have been checking the evolving hockey more. It's something that I've always had and referred back to, in this season, especially as we go back towards here, maybe more of a down season for this group, and you're going to be fighting all year for a playoff spot. I'm kind of curious more how the underlying numbers transfer to what we're seeing on the ice. And I mean, it was a pretty even battle back and forth in terms of expected goals and expected opportunities here tonight between both teams. And when you consider that, it's pretty great nights for Joseph Woll and Jet Greaves. So I guess that's also a positive when you look at the other side and you say, hey, Jet Greaves also played fucking amazing tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And if it's not for him, there's probably a few different opportunities for the Leafs to take a lead in this one. So offensively, it's there. Defensively, better, not perfect. There's things to work on, especially in transition, where you look and go, holy shit, this team struggles advancing the puck. I got callers waiting, but I just got two more things I want to get to quickly. First is another super chat here on the postgame. This one comes in from Maxentius Decimus. Maxentius says, Michelli and Joshua out and we win. Go figure. I mean, yeah, Max. Michelli and Joshua out of this lineup. That was one of the things that drove me absolutely up a goddamn wall the other night, when I was just watching the way morning skate was taking place, and then you're seeing the announcement like Sammy Blaze in, Sammy Blaze coming in. You're going to have Jacob Quillen go out, Joshua, Michelli stay in. My head nearly exploded then, and then when I watched this fucking team in that game on Saturday, I thought that like my head was going to come off of my body, because I'm like watching Michelli, I'm watching Joshua, knowing a guy like Jacob Quillen, who at least has some intensity to his game, had some pop, had some legs under him. He's sitting in the press box watching this fucking shit show take place, knowing he could have had some type of like speed impact. And then Dakota Joshua and Matthias Michelli, both very unimpressive in that one, deserves a spot up in the press box for this game. And it's kind of like one of those situations where it's like, thank God you got yourself to a place where you finally have shown that you're going to hold some people accountable. What does it mean that you held Matthias Michelli and Dakota Joshua accountable? I don't fucking know. Like, I think at the end of the day, the guys you're looking at is William Nylander, Auston Matthews, John Tavares, Morgan Riley, like the big dogs. And I'm not saying John Tavares needs to be held accountable right now. He's been awesome. But, it's those guys that, to me, that's where it sends a message where it's like, hey, if you're not buying in, if you're not doing the things you need to be doing, those are the guys where if you hold them accountable, it sends a message to the rest of the lineup. I don't know. Maybe at bare minimum, it sends a message to Dakota Joshua and Matthias Michelli. We'll see what happens when they come back to the lineup. But I just don't think that this impacts the rest of the team at all. The other thing, too, by the way, I know he scores the OT winner. And the relationship between Berube and Nylander is an interesting one. And I don't know, like, the thing is that we're not in the room, so maybe the guys in the room have a different view of the situation than a traditional situation, and maybe things are just different for these guys, but I still find that hard to believe, even when talking about it. That William Nylander standing still flyby that leads to what was a 3-on-1 for the Columbus Blue Jackets on the Maple Leafs fucking power play was atrocious. Now, there were other mistakes by other guys that led to it. Notably, JT tries to force the pass out of the corner. I think Cowan kind of gave it to him in a bit of a bad position there, where it's like, oh shit, I've got two guys on me, or I've got guys closing in. You take it. And it's like, well, you gave it to a guy who's in just as bad, if not of a worse position than you are. JT tries to force the pass back up, which I think in that situation, if you're ever in trouble, the better play, the easier, the smarter play is always to go down, which is unfortunate because you're on a power play, so to be just throwing it back is tough. But, I mean, he tries to force a pass back out of the zone. There's just kind of like I don't want to say like a misread, but a hesitation by, I think it was Matthews who was up high there at that point near the blue line. Nylander who was at the blue line. Neither of them moved towards it. And then William Nylander gets absolutely blown by like a fucking traffic cone, just standing, doing nothing as the puck goes by him with the other guys going on a 3-on-1 on your own power play. That to me was an instance. That to me was an instance where it's like, maybe he misses the next shift. Maybe he sits this next one out because, like, that's unacceptable. And then the camera pans up from behind the net, watching everybody hustle back to chase him down, and chase down the Blue Jackets as they get a prime opportunity on your power play. And Willie is straight-legging it, looking like me coming back late in the third period of a men's league game where I'm like, well, we're up by 4. Like, it is what it is. I'm 4 minutes from getting out of here. What the fuck does it matter? Except you're in the NHL. You're potentially going to go down in this game to get you to losing 8 of your last 9, your last place in the Eastern Conference. Like, there should be some more buy-in. And I feel like, personally, Nylander's the guy where if he goes and he gets himself involved in it, then it drags other guys into the fight. And I feel like he just kind of hasn't really grasped that and grasped how important he is to this team and the energy and the intensity of this team. But he gets out there after, and then he ends up burying an OT. So maybe there's just an understanding amongst those guys that, you know what? He's going to get it back for us elsewhere. And if that's the case, then that's the case. And if that's what the guys in the room understand, then that's what the guys in the room understand. But watching that is just shocking. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, how are we not looking at this and being like, we are last place in the Eastern Conference. How are we not making an example of this situation? And, you know, it's amazing to me because it's like Nylander walks away from this game with a goal and an assist and a 2-1 win in overtime. And I'm watching this guy being like, man, you haven't been that great tonight. You look at the point totals and it's like, you are one of the best point producers, best offensive players in the entire NHL, in the entire world. And yet for like a lot of this game, he's kind of just another body on the ice. And then he shows up and all of a sudden he's amazing. And it's like, if you show up and play that intensely like you do on that overtime shift or the one where Easton Cowan scores and you bring that to every shift that you're on the ice, like you're going to be one of the best players in the world consistently. And this team is going to find themselves in a much different position in the standings and as they approach playoffs than they do on a consistent basis. Because if he drives like he can, if he drives like that, he's going to bring everyone else into the fight. Everyone else is going to look at him and be like, he's fucking battling like that, we got to battle too. And he's going to bring people in with him. But that's where it just drives me nuts because I think that mentality, and it's not just him, it's guys lower down in the lineup, you know, it's guys in your bottom 6 who you end up putting in the press box. It's guys on your defensive side of things. It's Morgan Riley at times. It's Benoit or McCabe or these guys who will just have moments where they just kind of like, we're just out here. Auston Matthews, they'll do it too. But I just feel like Nylander has that potential to be the guy where if he just fucking goes, everyone else comes on with him and says, hey, we got to play at that intensity. We got to go, 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 go. And to see it at times where he does it, it's like, man, you could just tap that 50% more, 40% more, and you are going to be a fucking exceptional player in this league consistently. You are already an elite talent, an incredible player. But if he could just bring that more consistently where it's like the effort or the give a fuck meter just a little bit higher, I just couldn't imagine where this team would be right now and how much other guys would benefit from that. So that's just kind of my thoughts on the accountability conversation when you see those guys go up there. And then I watch that play from Nylander and this part of me that's just like, I don't fucking get it because you watch this team make these lackadaisical errors and kind of not give a fuck at times and just check out. And it's like, well, there you have is a star player doing that. Like, I wonder where this comes from. You know, how is that not something where you watch that and you go, this is where it's stemming from. Let's nip this in the bud, shut it down now. Nylander, you can't do that anymore. And then all of a sudden, maybe it'll percolate through the rest of the lineup that everyone else stops doing that. Like, that's got to be the hope. But he goes back out there. I mean, he does follow it up with a good couple shifts to close things out and wins it in overtime. So, fuck me, I guess. But I don't know. That guy's an anomaly. That guy's an anomaly. All right, we got people waiting to call into the show here. I want to get to these. So they've been waiting patiently. Had some thoughts that I wanted to get off about tonight's game before we got to the callers. But let's welcome here to the show. He's been on a few different times, most of which have come after losses. So I'm happy to hear from him here after a Maple Leafs victory here tonight. Let's welcome to the show our friend JD. How's it going tonight, JD? How you feeling after a Maple Leafs victory?
Finally, a win. Holy shit. I almost forgot what it felt like, buddy.
Losing it was 7 of 8 coming into this one here tonight. It was like the loser point against Columbus even just felt like it didn't matter at that point, even though it got you a little bit higher up in the standings where you like don't fall off that much. It just felt like, well, it's just another loss and all we do is lose. This one, you won. We won. And it's like, holy shit, a victory, an overtime victory nonetheless. So yes, JD, it did feel like we kind of forgot what the fuck that felt like.
Yeah, as pathetic as it seems, brother, it was getting to the point with me that if they got out of this with a single point, I was going to feel like it was a moral victory of sorts, right? It just basically got to that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was in a place where I was not going to accept the 1 point because, like, you need wins right now if you want to do anything. But I do understand what you're saying, where it's like walking away with a point feels better than walking away with none for sure, especially given how the last little while has gone.
Yeah, are you feeling like the return of like Knies and Matthews and whatnot had a big impact on that tonight?
I think it does because it pushes guys into the right spots. But in terms of them impacting the game, JD, I would say no. And what what I mean by that is like I don't think Matthews and Knies necessarily came into this game and were dominant factors here tonight. It was a positive sign to see Matthews shooting the puck. That's one thing that I'll throw out there, where it was like him taking one-timers, him getting involved in the offense where he's willing to shoot, willing to step to the middle of the ice, willing to go to the front of the net like he did in the overtime where he tried to toe jag in on the 2-on-1-ish. With Easton Cowan to start the 3-on-3. Those are positives, but I never really felt too much like, wow, he's taking it to them. Same with Matthew Knies. I'm just speculating on this one, JD, but I kind of get the impression that Knies is still battling with something, and he just came back here because he's like, we can't fucking lose again, and I got to be a part of this. I can't keep watching. But I do think it impacted it in terms of just slotting guys to the right spots. Like, you put Easton Cowan onto a line with Nylander and Tavares, and they're no longer your first line. Bobby McMahon, Nick Waugh coming back obviously helps, but McMahon and Robertson, they're not on your second line having to play 18 minutes anymore. They bump to the third, so on and so on. Moving people down in the lineup, I think, makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Even just the fact, like you said, slotting people into the right positions, just getting Domi out of any C position was gravy right there on its own. We can never see him in any C spot on that team ever again.
It's way too much responsibility for him. It makes him, as the center, you have to think a lot. He's not a guy who should be thinking.
Absolutely, yeah. He's just got to play. He's got to play a gritty, just meat and potatoes kind of game. And when he has to overthink stuff, it's a bonehead play after bonehead play. Sadly, I just don't think he has a really great hockey IQ, especially
Yeah.
at center position.
I would agree with you. I think he's got great passing ability, but I think that's I think that's kind of the difference. Like when you look at Michelli and you look at Domi, where people are like, well, they can pass the puck and make plays really well. I agree. They do some really, really stupid shit at times where it's like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, I know what you can do if you are on your game. How are you making that decision and thinking that's a right decision? But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with
Yeah,
you there, JD.
it's all about inconsistency with Domi, I think, because if you think back early season, he's been up on the wing with Matthews a couple shifts there, and he set him up with some beauties. I mean, some great goals, and then the next game just dog shit. I mean, he just can't hold it together on a consistent basis. So I mean, yeah, he keeps finding himself farther and farther down the lineup, and he's just best as a third or fourth line wing for sure. So
I would agree with you. I would agree. That's what. Okay, so let's dig into that. I want to get you to expand on it a little bit more. You'd say third or fourth line wing. He plays on that first line tonight with Matthews and Knies. And I know you gave some of your thoughts there, but what'd you think of him on that first line tonight? And I guess kind of the follow up question for me, I have a guy in mind who I put there, but if you swap out Max Domi from the first line, who's the player that you are putting in to play first line right wing with Matthews and Knies?
no brainer, Robertson, every day of the
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
The effort's been there, the speed's there, the will to compete. I mean, he's not a perfect player. He doesn't pot everything he puts on the net. He still does have some green areas and some problems on the defensive side of the puck here and again. But he's got that will. He's got some jam. He puts the effort in. He's got great hands. He can set up a play. He can finish it occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it's just been a little bit consistency with him too, right? He'll be shit for a game or two. You bench him, and what happens? He comes back in pots one. So, but
Yeah.
compared to Domi, yeah, I'll take Robertson. Even McMahon, throw him up there occasionally. I mean, he's not going to be worse than Domi.
I think that's probably fair. Less playmaking ability, probably more level-headed in terms of not getting to the point of taking the penalties that Domi will take at times, and still bring physicality and stuff to the game as well. Anything else stand out for you here tonight, JD?
Well, I love Woll's performance. I thought he stood in his head. He just did some insane acrobatic stuff. Aside from the one goal that I thought he probably should have had, but you can't be perfect in goal all night, especially when you're getting shelled in 3 and 4 on ones. But yeah, I thought he played. I thought he played incredible. Cowan, I thought is really starting to show his maturity as a player, his effort. I think he's exceeding the expectations we had from him at the start of the year. His celly, you could just see the passion in the guy's face. Like that's what I want to see out of every player on the fucking team. A guy, you compare that to Willie's OT winner. He looked like he was ordering a coffee at the Timmy's drive-thru. He had fucking nothing. I mean, and Cowan was, like he just won the lottery. Like that's what you need through the lineup right there.
That was funny. I had a very similar takeaway. I mean, not necessarily the Nylander part. Like that's just kind of how he looks at all the times, where it's just like he could score his 100th fucking goal of the season, and he's kind of gonna have the same look where it's like he could break a Gretzky record, and the benches are gonna clear, and I feel like Willie's gonna be like and just smile and move on. I was so happy, honestly, to see Easton Cowan score that goal. Look. Maybe it's just me digging too much into things because everything else around it has been ass lately, and he's kind of been like that one bright spot to look forward to every night. But I've genuinely enjoyed watching Easton Cowan play night in and night out, especially with these guys out of the lineup, and seeing him get the opportunities to elevate in minutes and play more high leverage situations, play down a goal, play up a goal, play in your top six, play on the power play. play. Even tonight they go to a 5-forward power play, and Easton Cowan's right out there with them. It's him, Matthews, Nylander rotating amongst the 3 guys at the top, creating chances, getting guys in tight, getting some shots, getting opportunities. Like, it's so nice to see him get to go out there with those guys and be in that conversation. And there's been a part of me where it's just like this soft spot that I've just kind of like felt bad for him at this point, because I'm watching the team around him be, whatever adjectives you want to use, the way I'm going to put it is fucking atrocious. Effectively, dog shit. But they been that around him, and I'm watching this guy show up and go balls to the wall, work his dick off every time he's on the ice, and he's just not getting rewarded for it. Like, offensively, the points come here or there sporadically, like it's coming every once in a while, and then you see that goal that he scores tonight, and it's like, that goal was more than just, I tied the game in a must-win game late in the 3rd period against Columbus. That was like a weight of the world off of his shoulders type of celebration. The last time they played against Columbus, he talked about it in the media after, and he said, if I score 1 or 2 of those chances, we win this game tonight. Like, I could have scored. And you could tell he's been taking this upon himself pretty heavily, where it's like, I just can't score, but I'm getting the chances. And I keep watching him thinking, you're playing so well. Do not give up. Do not get discouraged. Watching that goal tonight, I was just really happy for him. It's a feel-good story amongst, this gray cloud of bullshit surrounding the team right now to see him, just developing and getting the opportunities he is. But to see him score that goal tonight, I was extra happy for him, JD.
Yeah, same. But yeah, the thing is, like you were just touching on there, accountability with Cowan, right? He holds himself accountable when he doesn't put it in. He's like, if I would have been able to do this, I could have made a difference. It's something that a lot of the other players on the team just don't do. So it's it's good to hear from him.
Yep. Anything else for you here, JD?
No, that's it, brother. Just enjoy the show, and thanks for having me on again. And hopefully it isn't 2 hours and 45 minutes tonight, bud.
Yeah, no. I don't think so tonight. I don't think that's going to happen tonight.
Actually, one more quick thing. Countdown, 6 more days until you get to get rid of that caterpillar on your face.
Oh, yeah. You don't like this thing, eh? I will say quickly, but on that point, to people on my Twitter account, if you want to follow me at ZachPhill, ZackPhill, you go on there, pinned to the top. My Movember link is there. You can donate. I've raised over $300 here so far this year to Movember, to Men's Health. So make sure to go and donate to that. That's why I do this, JD. It's disgusting. I look fucked, but that's why I do it. It's for a good reason.
I'm going to go click the link right now and donate so you can get rid of that fucking thing.
Okay. You know what? Fair enough. Thanks, JD. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Cheers, but have a good night, man.
There you go. You too. There's JD. I'm glad we got to have him call in here after a win. He's called in, I think, 3 times over the last 2 weeks, which has basically just been loss after loss after loss. So to finally get to have JD call in here for this one, where it's a win and you could be happy and, just have a positive outlook of just, hey, this wasn't the most miserable night ever. We're not in last place in the East, and we're only 2 points behind the Montreal Canadiens now. Yeah, that's a positive. I mean, like, this is a team that's going online and all their fans are dunking on Leafs fans. They're only 2 points ahead of the team they're talking the most shit about. So, right there. We got another super chat that I want to get to before we get to the next caller here quickly, as I do see them waiting. This super chat comes in all the way from Sweden, Vicus Patronus. Thank you for the super chat. And a reminder, proceeds from the super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. Vicus Patronus, not to be confused with producer Vic, who, by the way, apparently is watching on the big screen tonight. Hopefully, Vic, this disgusting mustache looks even better on your big screen TV. Shout out to producer Vic and his lovely wife watching with their dog right now. This super chat comes from Vicus Patronus. It will be very important for the Leafs to get more regulation wins, especially versus teams from the East. Vicus, Regulation wins against teams from the East is certainly something important. I will agree with you there. I think like for the next month, just winning in general is probably pretty important regardless of how you do it. I get the sentiment, and it's something to remember, especially as you get later in the year and you're going to look and be like, oh shit, like you dropped that point to Montreal there. You dropped that point to Columbus there. Like you let these teams who are ahead of you in the standings add points while you try to catch up to everyone else. Does not help. Like there's undeniably, it is not helpful for you to be allowing other teams to continue to add points as you chase them down. That said, the fact that you are winning right now and getting 2 points rather than 1 or none, we'll take it. Like, we will take that at bare minimum. Do I think that this team tonight inspired confidence in me that they're going to be some force to be reckoned with? I couldn't think of the way to phrase that one. They're a force to be reckoned with? No, I don't. And I think you'd be lying to yourself if you walked away and said, you know what, this win tonight, they got it. They got it. They can figure this out. I think that there are positives for sure, but there's a lot to be worked on. All right, let's get to our next caller. But also good point by Vicus, but that, you do kind of want to eliminate some of these OT wins. Next caller comes in here. Someone who sent a super chat earlier. It was the first super chat that I read on the show here tonight, actually. Let's welcome to the show. They can tell me if I say their name wrong, and I apologize if I do, but B. Khalid, welcome to the program here tonight. I believe this is the first time you've ever called in?
Yes, it is, yeah.
How's it going? Did I say the name right as well?
Yeah, you did. That's my last name, so you can just call me by it. It's fine.
Okay, sounds good. Well, how's it going here tonight? The first time calling into the show, following a Maple Leafs win and an OT win nonetheless, of which it was a little bit of a hairy one.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched the show a couple times. First, I want to mention that big fan of the show, you, Jay, Nick.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I checked in last show, seen Prague talking a lot about Max Domi, his boy there. So,
yeah.
And I don't know, that's the most I've tuned into one of your after darks. Mostly I check in with the morning shows. But yeah. I don't know what he was on about, or the last guy. I think Domi is fucking shit. He needs to be off the team immediately. Like, I don't think he has a spot on the team. Like, he's honestly just a cheerleader, Like, I just see him as a little chihuahua. Just goes out there, barks, posts IG hype videos, fucking for the Blue Jays, whatever. He doesn't do shit on the ice. Like, I know he had 7 points in the playoffs, but they're just, like, empty points, When Mitchell's around, games 1 to 3. Like, that's where all his points were made up. So, I mean, you don't notice him out there, And then Morgan Riley, I've been a big fan of him.
Unless a negative way, usually. Unless a negative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Morgan Riley, I've been a big fan of him all my life. Always had to defend him. Like, here in Edmonton, I'm calling from Edmonton, so I hear a lot about Bouchard and all that bullshit. So thankfully, they're asked too, so I don't have to hear from them. But
yeah, takes that off your back a little bit.
No, literally, I've been defending all my life, And then, but yeah, Riley, I think there's got to be some serious talks about him for sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna give a thought on Domi, and then I want to come back to Morgan Riley, and you and I can expand on this a little bit. So, I think I'll disagree with you I'll disagree with you circumstantially. Okay, so I don't want to see Max Domi in the top 6, and I don't want to see him play center at all. But what I will say is, if he's going to play in your bottom 6 as a winger, I think he could be impactful. But if you're going to have him there, I think what you need to do is start cutting fat of these $3.5 million contracts.
Exactly.
Matthias Michelli, Dakota Joshua, Calle Yarncroke. It doesn't necessarily have to be all of them, but so you're going to have to start cutting some people loose from that group, because Max Domi just becomes another one of the guys who could probably all kind of do the same thing. So if he's the one with the passion, but he brings the same thing offensively as the others, then fuck it, who cares? I'm fine with keeping him in there. I will agree with you if he's a top 6 guy, and that's what he is. Yeah, you don't want him here. If he's a guy that is one of the same of the others, but producing less or not bringing the intensity as much or not bringing the physicality as much, then yes, cut him as well. But cut him loose, sorry, that is. But otherwise, I don't have a problem with him being a bottom 6 winger on this team if you're going to trim off some of the other fat. So I get what you're saying. I understand the frustration with you, and I don't with him, sorry, and I don't blame you at all for having that opinion. That's just kind of my pushback on it, where like I draw a line and say circumstantially, I think he's fine. But there are instances where I look around and go, holy fuck, what are we doing? But regardless, there's a time and a place for him, and I think that if he fits that, you can get rid of other guys. Coming back to the Morgan Rielly point, I'm just curious here. Like you said, you've been defending Morgan Rielly. I just want to dig into this a little bit more. Does that mean you are no longer defending Morgan Rielly?
Yes, indeed. So I used to defend him for the playoffs. I'll come back to your Domi point, but we'll talk about Rielly now. But I used to usually I was like, oh, you know, whatever. Regular season, these past couple of years, he's like shit, whatever. But then he always picks it up in the playoffs. You know, we've seen it like almost every year. More big time goals than Mitch Marner. Like there's a lot I can think of in my head. But I mean, comes to a point where you're like,
that's actually valid, yeah.
Literally, yeah. And then there comes to a point where it's like, it's you, not your partner. You know, like fucking Ron Hainsey. All these different guys, freaking CC had a point, I don't know. Now it's like Brendan Carlo. I get Brendan Carlo's been shit too, but like, I don't know. You got to pick up your slack too, 7.5.
So let me ask you this then. What do you do? Because I'm with you. I gave up on him last stream on Saturday night. I think that broke my brain where I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I think part of it is if he was like a $5.5 million guy, you probably look at it and say, is what it is. Let's keep it moving. You know, good season, bad season, good play, bad play. He makes $5.5 million, $6 million. And like, it's not great, but it's more manageable when you look at him as the highest paid defenseman. When he has seasons where, you know, his highest point total is 72 and then it can dip off, and 68 he was on pace for, but then it's dropped here now, and you're watching this guy who's been taken off of power play 1 in favor of Easton Cowan and going back to a 5-forward unit at times. I start to wonder what the hell this guy is doing, taking up, you know, your number 1 defensive spot, because that's technically what he's in. Like, let's call it what it is until Tanev comes back and you have McCabe and Tanev as your like shutdown pair. It's Carlo and Rielly that are your 1, and Rielly is essentially your 1 there. And when he's making that much money, he's even more paid to be your 1. He's higher. Fuck the word. I can't, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Ranking wise, he is number 1 in terms of what he's getting paid. But then it's just, he's not that. And he doesn't provide you that. And then when you look at the fact that he doesn't provide the defensive side of the game, he's not providing the offense. He's struggling breaking the puck out of the ice or out of the zone right now. Like, how many times did we watch, even in this game tonight, it's just not clean breakouts. It's a neutral zone regroup that's turned over or panic thrown up the ice or just tossed back like a grenade over to the defense of the Columbus Blue Jackets, where it's like, I don't want this. You take it. So,
no, literally.
Khalid, what do you do here when you look at Morgan Rielly, who's loaded up with the no move, no trade clauses, comes in at a cap hit of $7.5 million, and by all accounts doesn't want to leave, but at the same time, you're kind of looking at it and being like, I don't know that this guy fits. Like, and I'll throw some options at you. Are you in the camp right now of like force this guy out, or are you one of the guys who's looking at being like, let's find somebody to play with him?
So I think force this guy out's pretty dickhead, and like I know dickhead's not like not like no one wants to be nice guy, whatever. Who gives a fuck about that? But like last year, what I was thinking with that's a good question you ask. What do you actually do? But last year I was thinking you move off of him, you know, whatever it takes, and you get Provorov. Obviously, he resigned with Columbus. maybe you throw him into Calgary, like, they're a shit team this year. Maybe he'll waive his NMC to go to the West. I don't know. Vancouver, hometown kid. I don't know. But that is a good question. I think it's more of a summer move, to be honest. But in terms of what he means, like now, or how you move off of a contract, it'd obviously have to be a big player trade or something along the lines of that. I don't know where you could get a replacement for him. But yeah, I don't know.
That
It's
is
not
the
an
other
in-season
thing.
move.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That is part of the problem, right? Where like, no team is just taking on your garbage if that's what they deem it to be, to just take it on. I don't think it's one of those situations where you want to try to eat any type of salary. I don't see a team that's in contention looking at him and just eating a full $7.5 million right now. So your partners become very limited, and then he has a say in everything, which makes it even harder on top of that. So it becomes harder. And then you brought up a good point as well, where it's like, you have to fill the spot. Exactly, you're not trying to get Morgan Rielly back in the deal, but you've got to fill the spot. That's the thing where I think there was a disconnect in the summer when people are like, let's get rid of Mitch Marner, and even years past where, it's always like, well, you're not going to find another Mitch Marner. The whole point is that you're not trying to find a Mitch Marner. You're trying to find somebody different, but you need somebody to fill the spot. So when you were talking about Morgan Rielly, you're not trying to find Morgan Rielly. You're trying to find a guy who can bring something different but can fill the spot. And who is that guy? Where is that guy? How much does that guy cost? And is that guy coming back from Morgan Rielly? I'm going to guess no, because if you're trading Morgan Rielly, why would that team be trading you their version of Morgan Rielly? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I just don't envision it being the case. But I do understand. Anything else you got here for us tonight, Khalid?
Yeah, so I was going to come back to your Domi point there.
Yep.
I do, like we're talking about his salary and whatnot. Toronto's got an obsession with salary and like the fucking chokehold that it has on their role and playing in the lineup, or if a guy's making more, he has to be PP1 or et cetera, et cetera. But I think Domi, like straight up, like bottom six, you did say he is a fit in the bottom six if he's going to add some passion and scoring or whatever. But for me, I think I slide up. The last guy said Robertson on the first line, but I slide up Cowan on the first line. I think he's got more playmaking ability for sure.
And then who do you go to the second line then? Because there's got to be a
second line we go. Yeah, we got McMahon, I think, or Robertson.
Okay.
And then third line of one of the others. So I would say, let's say Robertson second line. So second line, I got a third line of Woll, McMahon, and Joshua, which I think is a pretty good, sizable checking line. And then the fourth line, you go Lawton, Lorentz, and Jake McCabe. And then your healthy scratches
who
are
comes out. So you have Lawton, Lorentz, and Quillen. So whose scratches?
Domi Michelli, and then like two. Domi and Michelli are literally the exact same players for me, to be honest. Domi's just a little bit more of an asshole. That's it.
Yeah, that's probably the fair analysis. I'll give you that. Okay, I don't hate that. Say the third line for me again tonight.
That's Nicky Waugh, Joshua, and McMahon.
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I like the lineup construction. Construction here. It's a good checking line that you got. You get some skill and some speed in the top. Adding Cowan in there, some youthful energy. I do like what Quillen brings. Wait, who was on the fourth line though? Lawton's in there, right? Lawton, Lorentz, and
Quillen. Yeah.
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I like it. All right.
And then maybe you can upgrade on Robertson if you find something at the deadline.
Fair enough. I think you got to get yourself into a spot where you can be competing for the playoffs to get to that point. But I do understand the sentiment. I understand the sentiment. All right. Do you got anything else for us here before I let you go?
No, that'll be it. Just got to say fuck the Oilers. Let's go, boys.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you, Khalid. Thanks for calling in. You're welcome back anytime.
Right. Okay, take care.
There you go. All the way from Edmonton. Looks like no Prague on the show tonight. Probably for the best, considering the chat chat turned on Prague late the other day. There was a turn on Prague at the end of the show. So I guess maybe we need a break from Prague, and I think that's fair. So Prague finds his way out of the show here tonight as Khalid comes in, and he does his best anti-Prague, saying fuck Max Domi. It's not me saying that. That's the anti-Prague. Says that's too much. Domi, he's cut. Not only is Domi getting moved out of the top 6 and off the top line, Khalid has this guy in the press box. Prague has him playing 35 minutes a night, first line right wing, and Khalid has this guy in the press box. I might have a show in the next little bit where I just have Prague and Khalid come on, and I don't say a word. And I'll just let them go at it for a while and see what happens. But regardless, thank you to everyone who called into the show here tonight. There are some things we got to do to continue to wrap this thing up. We did hit over 50 likes here on the post game here right now. So for 50 likes, we do the smelling salts. If you can get us to 100 here before the show ends, and there's still some stuff to do, play of the game, best bet recap, grade of the game as well, and our stats of the day that we'll dig into. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. Here's the smelling salts for hitting the 50. Oh my God. Those ones got me good. Oh. All right. Keep liking the stream. Let's get it to 100. We got some stuff to do here. Let's get to our play of the game. Okay, play of the game. Holy, that thing rocked me. That one went straight in there. Play of the game, I think it's got to be the tying goal. I know that Nylander goal was... holy, my eyes are watering after that one. I know the Nylander goal got them the winner. And it's like, when you look at the heroics of it and the fact that you walk away with 2 instead of the 1 point, that was the worst smelling salts I've done in the history of this show. Like, that is killing me. Oh my God. I don't know how that one hit the way that it did, or why that one hit the way that it did, but that rocked me. Oh. All right. Anyways, back to it. Refocus. I could tell you this for free. If that happened to you when you were on an NHL bench and trying to do the smelling salts to get fired up to go out on the ice, it's not helping. It's not helping you. You're going to be in shambles. Oh. Anyways. Whew. I know that the Nylander goal was like the savior and snaps you out of it and gets you the 2 points. It gets you back out of last place in the Eastern Conference, gets you within Montreal, the Rangers. Like it puts you within arm's reach of those teams who are just ahead of you right now. And this weak Atlantic Division, and specifically the Eastern Conference, it's nice to be able to get that extra point, because like the loser point would not have felt like a positive here tonight. The way that Joseph Woll played, how good he was for this group, the way that he was able to, keep them in it and make saves at massive times, really big saves, really important saves. Like, That is the kind of game that it's just like, this is not a game where you can waste that performance and waste those points. You have to fucking come up with 2 coming out of this one and continuing this road trip into Washington on Friday. Like, you just had to walk away with it. And I know that the Nylander goal is the one that cements that as you're getting down, in the final 30 seconds of the game, getting closer to going to a shootout there. And he stops that, scores, OT winner, you get out. But it's the Easton Cowan goal for me is the play of the game. It's the goal that ties it. It's a goal that takes the weight of the world off of his shoulders. This is a kid who has been very deserving of the opportunity that he's getting right now in that top 6. He is very, 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 very snake bitten over the last little while, and you could tell that was weighing on him. I mean, the comments he made after the game against Columbus, where he's like, if I score 1 or 2 of those, we walk away with the win. And he's right. It's true. If he does score 1 or 2 of those, he's walking away with the win. But it's not his fault that they didn't win those games. And I know that's kind of contradictory, where I'm like, well, if he scores, they win, but he didn't score, so they didn't win. I just can't put the blame on a 20-year-old kid who you're looking around at Auston Matthews, who's not playing now, Knies, who's not playing. You're looking at these guys who are in the press box. You're missing $36 million worth of players. You've got Nylander. You've got veterans around you, and John Tavares and Max Domi, and guys who are played here now for a decent amount of games or years in the NHL, or just with this team in general, who have the experience, who should be able to step up in a moment like that, and who just are not coming through. Even looking at guys who are just not even doing their jobs well, like Dakota Joshua and Michelli. It's not you can't let this kid take that blame in those moments. And I wanted that to stop. I genuinely just felt bad for him that continued to build. To see him score here tonight in a game where I thought he looked good again, and you could tell there was a couple chances. You saw the one earlier on, I think it was in the second period. He gets down low, or in the first period, sorry, gets down low in on Jack Greaves, makes a move, tries to go from his backhand to his forehand, tries to beat Greaves on the blocker side. Greaves makes the blocker save. It's just he's getting chances. He's doing the right things. He's going to the right areas. Hopefully this is the one that can break through for him. And seeing the excitement and seeing the celebration that he had, that's the kind of passion that I'm happy to see a guy in the top 6 kind of display, especially a guy who's playing with those guys, because the OT winner, it was brought up on the show. It just is nonchalant. Nylander's OT winner, and Matthews kind of just does a little fist pump and whatever. I'm not going to complain about those tonight, but it's just that's kind of it's a win. Let's move on. We got more to do, and you do have more to win. You need to continue to put up points. You've got to continue to climb the fuck out of this basement right now, because it's a disaster where you have started this season, but it's manageable. You just have to continue to win, and you can't just take it and be happy with this tonight. But a general enthusiasm for tying a game up and being in one and scoring in the NHL is just exciting to see. Alexander Ovechkin is 40 years old, and he scores he scored his first goal. He celebrates, he scored his first goal every time he scores. That youthful energy, that excitement towards the game, that excitement towards scoring and just being involved, it can be infectious. And seeing the kid be happy and celebrate like that is hopefully, as I was tweeted at during the show, which I'll shout it out. Ron Coleman during the show tweeted at me and said, that Cowan goal has the Cowan tying goal has the potential to be season changing. I'm not going to say that it is, because yet to be seen. We're going to have to go one game at a time here. I'm still taking this very much one game at a time. But if this team goes on a heater here somehow, again, I don't think that they're that good, but if they do go on a heater, why not? Like, why not? Why not have this be the moment that ignites the group and seeing that kid score and snapping them out of it and breaking this and stopping it from going to 8 of your last 9? Like, why not? Why can't that be a moment? I see a lot of you making a push right now to get this to 100, so I have to do it again. You're a bunch of sick fucks. I appreciate the likes and the subscriptions to the channel, but you're sick fucks. 3 away now. Good God, from doing it again. Vic logging in as the daily face-off to like this. Are you kidding me? Two likes away. Subscribe to the channel, by the way. Subscribe to the channel while you're at it. I'll do the smelling salts again, but like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Before I do the smelling salts, so that we can make our sponsor happy before I just completely ruin everything here on the postgame show and they never want to ever come back or be involved with me again. Let's get to our best bet segment. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use the code NATION, that's N-A-T-I-O-N, code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N on Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. Best bet, lost. Best bet tonight is a loss. It was Auston Matthews to have 2+ points in this one. He does not have 2+ points. I thought he played well, not great. I'm not going to say that Auston Matthews played great, but he actually has 0 points. A little unfortunate because I thought that there was going to be like a moment or a push from him in particular and Knies kind of jumping in on that one where it was going to be like, hey, those guys are going to come in here. They're going to be gung-ho. They're going to be balls to the wall. They're going to contribute. They're going to push this team over the edge. We're going to see some type of fight in them and some type of intensity in this game tonight. I thought Matthew Knies was good, not great. He finishes with 1 assist. He's -1 actually on the night, but finishes with an assist here according to the NHL.com. He has one. Just reloaded on my screen. He has 2 shots on goal, in this one. Auston Matthews ends up finishing with 3 shots on goal. No goals, no assists, no points. He played 24 minutes and 35 seconds of time on ice. So that is a loss for our best bet, which does bring us to 10-25 on the season. Auston Matthews over 1.5 shots on goal. We end up losing $50 on that best bet, and our horrible streak continues. Now, I think part of that is the fact that the worse this team plays, the harder it becomes to handicap and predict anything that's going to happen with these bozos. But it's another loss. It's another loss. Half unit loss. We go down 1 unit on the season. We had dips last year, though. No streaks this bad, I will be honest. But we had dips last year. We fought our way out of it. Okay, we have 2 things left to get to. That's going to be our crave the stats of the game, as well as our grade of the game. But you sickos got us to 115 likes here on the post game. And I see it being sent over and over and over and over again. Salts. Just all caps. Salts. And salt shakers. And noses and salt shakers. And pretzels and salt shakers. So we'll do salts. I don't really get the pretzels in the salt shaker, but like salted pretzels, I guess. 115 likes. Vic, you goddamn scumbag. You're logging in on multiple accounts and pushing this brigade. Are you fucking kidding me? All right. 100 likes. People aren't as excited to come to the Leafs Nation after dark when this team wins. But I'm still excited to do the show, do the salts, and come here and chat with all of you, take the calls. So thank you for liking. Continue to subscribe. I want to see 20,000 subscribers here on this channel by Sunday. That's right. By Sunday, I want to see 20K subs. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to listen on podcasts, like I got a DM on Twitter today, Wisey sent me a message and said he listens on the podcast or listens the day after. If that's what you want to do because you can't watch it in real time, the Leafs Nation After Dark, wherever you get your podcasts, is where you can do it as well. Here's the smelling salts. Oh, God, this one's going to hurt. Oh, my God. Here you go. There's the smelling salts. Gave it to you guys. Look. It's tough. It's a battle. There are some screenshots that are going to be out there of me after this stream, or videos of me after this stream, that they're going to be tough. There's going to be some tough looks. Okay, let's get to our next segment. Let's get to Crave the Stats as we wrap up the show here today. 2 more things to get to. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. That would be Firehouse Subs, the BOGO Brisket Hat Trick, Kibo Sushi, BOGO California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, BOGO Traditional Wrap. BOGO is, of course, buy one, get one before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Okay, Crave the Stats. Let's just do a quick rundown here tonight of what we've got for... Holy shit. Sorry, Uber Eats. I did not mean to swear in your segment. I went to go to the box score, and I opened up the Tankathon by accident. I swear it was an accident. And the Maple Leafs have less of a percentage chance than the Edmonton Oilers to get the first overall pick. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you think we should be panicking in Toronto, imagine what the Oilers should be doing, who just had Connor McDavid sign a 2-year extension because, you know, he thought he could win there and wanted to continue the window, and gave them an opportunity, gave them the gift of God, where he took the biggest discount potentially in the history of hockey discounts, and they have more of a chance to get the first overall pick than the Maple Leafs. You know what? Fuck it. Both slide out. Whatever. Edmonton has their picks 1 to 12 protected. Anyways, that was just for fun. I don't know how fun that was for anybody else. Anyways, point is, let's get to what we've got over on NHL.com for tonight's stats of the day. Let's just take a look at the box score for this one. Max Domi ends up finishing with 15 minutes and 24 seconds of time on ice. Now, I guess the positive in all this, and now some of that is coming from special teams, of course, but Max Domi did not play like every shift with the big boys. There was some movement. I think part of that, it was just loading up at different times. Tavares in with them, or Nylander in with Knies and Matthews, and moving guys around and giving different looks and giving Cowan time. And then obviously the power play situations. But So Max Domi ends up finishing with 15-24. Matthews 24-35. Knies 21-25. So the big boys step back and they jump into this one right away. Easton Cowan finishes +1. He has a goal, 1 point, a +1 in this one. He finished with 3 shots on goal, 2 hits. Obviously 2 giveaways there for him. But Nylander, a goal, assist, a +2 on the night, 20 minutes and 18 seconds. Those are kind of the big stats that I wanted to jump to in this one. Nic Robertson obviously gets his ice time bumped down to 10:33. I saw it said earlier, he finishes tonight with the second least minutes of all forwards from the Maple Leafs. The only person with less, Calle Jarnkrok, finished with 8 minutes and 15 seconds. I saw it said in the chat, it might be time for another scratch and score. To be honest, I love Nicky Bobby, and I want to see him get a chance in the top 6, but it might be time for another scratch and score for Nicky Bobby. It might be time to send him to the press box, get him to eat some popcorn, and then come back down, and maybe next game you send him up into the top 6, and you say, go play with Matthews and Knies and see what he could do. Maybe he finds a way to reignite, because the flame seems to be flickering out right now for Nicholas Robertson. I still like the guy. I still support him, but does seem to be kind of tailing off a little bit here recently. Couple things that I have not mentioned yet that I want to get to quickly in this one. One, I thought the first line looked pretty decent considering they just came back from an extended period off of injury. I think that there's a lot more that they could tap into. I think they could be a lot better. I didn't see too much take over in their game here tonight, but I thought they were good. I don't think that they were detrimental. Going to the other player who came back, Nick Waugh, who comes in and plays on your third line tonight, I thought Nick Waugh looked good. I really thought Nick Waugh looked good. I think one of the things that Leafs fans sometimes get guilty of is expecting these guys to score every night or create crazy chances. But I thought Nick Waugh played a role effectively. He looked physical. He looked a lot more engaged. We talked about how he was finding his rhythm. He was finding his groove before he went out with injury, and basically the entire lineup kind of just started to get decimated and was kind of all over the place, where it was like people are moving around, playing with different guys. The lines were changing every single night, every single time Nick Waugh was going out there, and then he gets injured as well, and it's like whatever rhythm he potentially had was kind of thrown out the window. I thought he stepped back in and was much closer to where he was when he left this team before injury than where he was at the beginning of the season to start this year. So I was happy to see Waugh play with some jam to him, with some life to him. I felt like he battled along the walls. I thought that he was strong in front of the net. I thought he was good in the corners. He's not a guy who's going to really impress, I don't think, too much through the middle of the ice necessarily, but he's going to be a guy who's going to win battles. He's going to be strong defensively. He should be good on faceoffs, and I thought he looked pretty good here in this one tonight. Again, not exceptional, but pretty good. Now, also, just a quick note on a stat this team has done well on while we're kind of in the crave the stats portion of the show. Face-off percentages on the night. Actually, let me just double check this and make sure that this is up to date, because sometimes it updates as the show goes on. Yeah, it is. Okay, so Auston Matthews, 60% on face-offs tonight. John Tavares, 64.7% on face-offs tonight. Nic Robertson, who I think only took 2 face-offs, but he was 50% on the face-offs. Nick Waugh, 58.3%. Scott Laughton, 54.5%. Steven Lorentz, 100%. So every single guy who took a face-off for the Maple Leafs tonight was 50% or better. 50% or better. And that's been something they've been really good at this season, is in the dot. They've looked really good. What do you do after it? Hasn't been too much, but they've been really good. Nick Waugh steps back in here tonight, was good in the dot here himself as well. So 50% or higher for every single guy who took a draw for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. I think that's a positive sign when you're looking at winning battles and winning different areas around the ice. Nick Waugh also looked good. Cowan looked good. Scott Laughton, I thought, looked good in this one. OEL might be the unsung hero of the defense right now. he's been a guy who's just kind of quietly gone about his business, put up points. He's been pretty reliable defensively in the defensive zone. He had a tough start to the season out the gates. I thought OEL was potentially, a step behind. I thought maybe it kind of got past him. Maybe we got the best out of him last year. It's only seemed to build for Ekman-Larsson. Since the beginning of this season, when he opened things up behind the 8-ball, he's only gotten better and better and better. And I think if not for OEL, where this D is right now, which still needs a lot of work, I think we'd be even in a worse off position. Like, imagine right now not having Tanev, McCabe when he's gone out with injuries a couple different times, Carlo, and then just take OEL out of this lineup or not have him play the way he is. This team is in a dark, dark, dark place defensively, but OEL has kind of been the unsung hero, the quiet warrior leading the charge back there for the defense, and he's been good at advancing pucks up ice, making the first pass. He's contributing to the offense. He's putting up points right now, and he's playing with some snarl. Like, he plays with some aggression to his game, no matter what's happening in the game and no matter what's happening with players around him. Like, OEL's been a guy to me who did it again in this game tonight, but has done it consistently, since that rough stretch at the beginning where it's just like every night you could rely on him to kind of show up and get the job done or get his portion of the job done at bare minimum. So shout out to OEL there, but I've enjoyed what he's brought to the table. Let's get to our grades of the game. Let's just wrap it up here with this. Like the stream before we finish this thing off. We can get to 150. Why not? Subscribe here to the channel. But let's get to our final thing. Let's get to our grades of the game. You guys send yours in the chat. I want to know where you're at. I think grades for me, I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with a B. I think it's a B. Power play, by the way, I was happy. In the game preview and on Twitter, I talked about it. I put out, I wanted to see Easton Cowan get an opportunity to quarterback that power play instead of Morgan Riley. I thought Riley has just been a guy who's been liable defensively back there anyways. I thought he's been a guy that has not contributed to the offense very well. The power play is not succeeding right now. And then they just also haven't looked dangerous on the power play either. It's not just that they can't score. They just haven't looked dangerous. So I wanted to see Easton Cowan get a chance to go up there. They tried the 5-man power play unit last year, and then you throw Easton Cowan in there tonight, which I was happy about because I talked it in the game preview. And I'm like, I want to see him get that chance. They throw him out there. I thought he looked pretty good. Mind you, they did give up a fucking 3-on-1 on their own power play, but I thought the power play did look more dangerous other than really that third period power play opportunity that did see the 3-on-1, that they didn't get any real dangerous looks. They had one shot on goal, and then all the dangerous looks came from after, which I guess in a way is positive because you didn't let it just dwindle out and give it back to Columbus where it's like, hey, you guys got this, you take control, you just killed this thing off late in the game, like it's all yours now, but still want to see more. But Easton Cowan got that chance. Power play, obviously, here tonight does not really come through for the Maple Leafs. It's just been something that's plagued them all season long. But you look at the box score on either side. Joseph Woll finishes tonight with a 9.72 in this one for Joe Woll. So 9.72 save percentage. Jet Greaves, on the other hand, a 9.17. And I know it was pointed out that Columbus finished this one with 36 shots on goal and Toronto finished with 24 shots on goal. According to Evolving Hockey, which is a good, reliable analytics website, just looking at this one here tonight, the expected goals for the Maple Leafs is 3.62. Expected goals for Columbus with 3.64. So pretty much even on those. And when you look at shots given up to Columbus for shots taken by the Maple Leafs, at least you're looking at pretty even on either side in terms of danger opportunities or danger chances that were created for both teams. So, or danger shots created, I guess you could even say at that point, for either team. So You know, a good night, not a great night, not really one that inspires confidence, but nonetheless, it's a win. It gets you out of this garbage slump that they've been in. But now you got to build off of it. Like, you can't just call it quits there. You got to go into Washington on Friday and find a way to come out with a win against the Capitals in that one. So that's going to do it for tonight's postgame show. Thank you to everyone who watched. Shorter than the ones we've done in the last little while, and it's still an hour and a half, 90-minute show, but somehow shorter than the last ones. Thank you guys for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the channel. Super chat on the way out if you want to. But that's all for me. I will be back on Friday for a pregame video as well as a postgame reaction for Friday's game, which is at 5 o'clock, by the way, on Friday against the Washington Capitals. Thanks for watching. Make sure to come back here tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, to catch Nic Alberga and Jay Rosehill breaking this game down and teeing up Friday's game against the Washington Capitals. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nic Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop